Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Morning Wake Up one of my favorite artists, Dove Award winning and future Grammy Award winning artist, Chris August. Chris, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Now, you got started recording music in your early teenage years after your dad built the studio, right?
Yeah.
And at 22, you released your first self-produced project called A Beautiful Thing, and it was under the name, how do you pronounce your last name?
Megert.
It was under the name Chris Megert and The Love Jones. So where did that name come from?
Well, yeah. For people that don't know, August is my middle name. It was my great-grandpa's middle name, my grandpa, my uncle, and mine. And so just because of that exact reason, my last name is Megert, but no one knew how to pronounce it or spell it. So I was like, let's just go by the middle name. It's a little easier. But, back then, Chris Megert and The Love Jones, I've always loved R&B music, and it's just always kind of, and when I did music back then, it was definitely a lot more like pop R&B sounding, and so, I just, that was the name I liked. I was thinking, well, I have this band that plays. I was like, what should we call ourselves? How about Chris Megert and The Love Jones? Sounds good to me, so we just went with it.
Now, early in your career, you managed to produce records for like Thicke and Babyface and Brian McKnight. How did someone still relatively new to the industry end up producing records for such major artists?
Well, I wasn't producing records for them. I was writing with them and doing stuff for my albums. So I used to be signed on Guessing Records in LA, and I was has big manager and all this stuff, and it was pretty crazy just because, all my, half the favorite songs, most of my favorite songs that I like of all time, Babyface wrote them. All that Boys to Men stuff. Just so many songs, and so, just to even meet those guys, let alone sit with them and work with them, was definitely a pleasure for me.
Now, when I read that you worked with Thicke, I was hoping you worked with him on Lost Without You, because that's my favorite Thicke song.
I do have a good story about that song, and that's that when I did work with him, it was before that record came out, and I was sitting in his house with him. He's got a studio at his house, and we're kind of working on some stuff, and he said, man, do you want to hear a couple songs that's going to be on my new record? And I said, dude, of course. Well, let me check it out. And he played me a couple, and I was like, man, these are killing. He goes, all right, this one is one of my favorites. He goes, you're only the 10th person or so to ever even hear this song. Nobody's heard this thing. And then he continued to play me Lost Without You. And then I told him, I said, dude, that is one of the best songs I've ever heard. That is going to be huge. And then, next thing I know, he put that song out, and I was like, man, good looking right there, because that was a good song.
Well, like I said, that's one of my favorite Thicke songs of all time.
Yeah.
Now, your first project, A Beautiful Thing, wasn't a Christian album. So what caused the change to Christian music instead of staying on the mainstream path?
Well, I always had it mixed in a little bit here and there, and I would maybe, even on A Beautiful Thing, it was mostly love songs, but there was a couple songs on there that were, I'd say almost half the record was still Christian songs, but that's the direction I was going with my career, was more pop R&B, and that's what I was pushing, and that's what my plan was. And I definitely never thought I would be in the Christian music industry, mostly because I didn't even really know about it. I didn't know much about it. I didn't realize there was, Christian radio and all that stuff. I didn't even know too much. And so not till later in my life, after being in LA, working with all those people, and realizing this is not what God had in store for me. I wanted to get back to Dallas, Texas, where I was from, and get back involved in church. And as I did that, one night I just decided to rededicate my life and music to Christ. And on that night, I wrote a song called Starry Night. And next thing you know, I put that on an independent CD that I put out back in 2009. Early 2009, I put it out, and had Starry Night on there. And once again, it was mostly songs that were kind of love songs, kind of another kind of acoustic R&B kind of feeling CD. And then it had Starry Night on there, one of the only Christian songs on the record. But that song ended up, making its way to some people in Nashville. And next thing you know, I was getting some offers, and I was thinking, this could be pretty cool. Let's try it out. And so then here we are.
Now, with that being said, this is a question that comes up on the morning show a lot because I like to hear people's opinions on it. Do you think it's all right for Christians to listen to mainstream or quote-unquote secular music?
Yes, without a doubt. I mean, I sure hope so. I listen to it every day. I mean, you know, I think there's lines. I mean, I think definitely there's some stuff that's a little inappropriate out there, but, you know, but at the same time, I say that, but, like, I wouldn't, if this is something that someone struggles with, and that's something that makes you stumble, no point to do it, you know, but if, you know, one of my favorite artists is Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder's obviously an incredible artist, you know, and has written some of the best songs in the history of music. And, you know, for someone to tell me, and this dude's a Christian, you know, and so for someone to tell me that, oh, you should listen to Stevie Wonder, I would definitely be like, well, why not? It's awesome music, you know, and it's enjoyable. But, you know, I can definitely see if something's very inappropriate. Yeah, I probably wouldn't listen to it if it's going to bring me down, if it's going to make you stumble. You know, if someone has a problem with alcohol, I wouldn't offer them a glass of wine. You know, same thing. If someone's stumbling with, you know, some certain thing, I probably won't say, oh, go listen to this music. I would say, man, you should check out, you know, Montel Jordan's new single or whatever, you know, because it's got some good truth in there. You know, I would give them something more like that.
Now, out of all the songs that you've done so far, which one has been the most personal?
Well, probably, I mean, they're all pretty personal because you know, when you write, it's like you got to write from that personal spot. But I'd say probably the 7x70 song that I had, that was just about my family, and I come from like a divorced family, broken home kind of thing, and you know, I really just set out to write it about what hurt me as a kid, and literally as I was writing it, God started teaching me about forgiveness, and it ended up being a song about forgiveness, which is definitely not what I was planning, but you know, it's, you know, with forgiveness comes healing, and God has the ability to take something that's broken and make it better than we ever thought it could be, and so that for me is definitely probably my most personal song.
Now, how does it feel during those moments when, you know, someone approaches you and they tell you that one of your songs had a major effect on them or their walk with Christ? Like, how does that feel?
Oh, I mean, that's the reason why I do this, you know, and I'm hoping that I can write songs that people can relate to and something that can encourage them to live for something greater than themselves. And so when people do come up to me after the show and say, look, I mean, that 7x70 song, I have a lot of people come up and tell me how this song is, you know, daughters saying they forgive their fathers for something, and husbands and wives reconciling, saying, you know, you wouldn't believe, Chris, this happened, and then now God has healed our whole marriage, you know, and I'm thinking, wow, I don't know if would I be able to forgive that? That's crazy, you know, it's amazing that God is bigger than the situations and circumstances, and it definitely just makes me smile and makes me know, man, this is pretty cool that God can use music in such a big way.
Okay, now we have to talk about the new stuff. On August 21st, you released your latest project, The Upside of Down. What was the inspiration behind that title?
Well, it really just started as an idea. You know, it was just kind of like, hey, that's a cool title. Like, that's a cool, you know, that's a cool little line. Let's write a song around it. So me and my friend Ian Escobar, we wrote a song around it. Then I liked the title so much, I was like, man, I'm going to call my record this. And I didn't, I mean, it was really just the idea of it. Like, it was just kind of like, you know, God gave me this little idea and just, you know, thinking like, okay, the upside of down, you know, He strengthened our weakness. It's the upside of down. Sometimes it's backwards kind of thing. And then little did I know I was going to, you know, I got in a skateboarding accident about 5 months ago and, you know, had a brain bleed, brain swelling. It was really serious, you know, and this was after I had already written a song and titled my album this. And then I had to really learn what the upside of down was, you know, because I was definitely on the down for, you know, a while. I'm still recovering from it. And, you know, I learned He really is strengthening our weakness. I had to literally look to Him for strength. And I saw the whole Christian music industry come around me and pray for me and bring me food. And, you know, they just really took care of me. And that was definitely for me the upside of being down. And so I learned in a real way what that title really meant.
Now, I read that there's not too much you remember from what happened from your skateboarding accident?
Yeah, I don't remember anything from that night. I don't remember getting on the skateboard or anything, and I just and I was only unconscious for about 4 minutes after it, but I just don't remember anything. And I next day, all of a sudden, I was like sitting in a hospital, and I didn't know how I'd gotten there or anything. It was like 3 p.m. and I was thinking, where am I? But so yeah, it was a pretty weird feeling. I don't recommend it.
I think after an accident, I wouldn't want to remember it. I'd be kind of grateful that I didn't.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad because it was serious enough to where when about 3 weeks later, I let a couple of my friends tell me exactly what happened, and I was like, well, I'm definitely glad I don't remember any of that because I would have been pretty scared.
Now, what is the overall message that you want listeners to walk away with after hearing The Upside of Down?
You know, with this record, and it's funny that we talked, about, love songs and this and that, and for me, I'm just the place I'm in now. Like I said, I love all sorts of songs, but just for me, where I was at, there were so many writing sessions you do. I write for other people and other artists and stuff, and you get in writing sessions, and people would say things to me like, "All right, let's write a song, but I don't want to say like Jesus or anything, just because I want to make it vague so I can get played on, Christian radio and mainstream radio." And I was like, man, like, what's the point of that? Like, either say it or don't say it. I mean, vague. I'm pretty sure the Bible talks about lukewarm. I don't want to be that, And so I was just thinking, man, in a time where I feel like there's bands and artists that are trying to, milk both sides and get whatever they can out. I said, I just want to make a record that is I just want to bless people with some music that can lead people to Christ, that can tell them the gospel, that can encourage them. And that's what I did with this record. I want people, really, I want them to be encouraged. I want them to learn. And as a songwriter, I feel like it's my goal, I feel like it's my duty to, put into words what maybe people couldn't put into words for themselves. And when they hear the song, they go, that's how I feel. I couldn't figure it out. And that's what I'm going through. And just to give them some hope and say, look, you're not the only one going through this. This is what I'm going through. And so I like my albums to be very personal, and I don't, it's like I don't have it all figured out, and I'm pretty sure people can hear that in my music, when they listen to my lyrics, and these are my struggles, and so definitely that's mostly what I hope people get out of it.
Is there going to be a tour that accompanies this record?
Oh, I'm sure I'll be out starting. I'm out now, and I'll continue to be touring for the next year or two. So I know I leave probably, so I got one starting October 1st. I'm going out with Toby, or October 4th. I don't even know. I got so many. I get them all mixed up. I just look at the calendar and go, this is what I'm doing today. But yeah, no, I'm going out with Toby Mac and Jamie Gray, some other tours. I'm just excited to go play these shows and play these songs.
Now, when you first got started recording music, did you ever picture yourself to be in the place that you're in now?
Oh, no. I'm straining my head. I never really pictured what it would look like. I just knew I loved doing it, and I couldn't really see myself doing anything else. I did go to school for history and English, and I wanted to be a teacher. But, I didn't really have a picture of what it was going to look like. But, it's definitely a blessing to be able to do this.
You were recently featured on Group One Crew's single, He Said, and I'm sure you know that single that was their first #1 single. So is there any other artists that you would like to work with in the future? Possibly a Chris August, another Robin Thicke collaboration?
That would be awesome. I'll see if I can reach out to him and get him on my next record, but that would be cool. One of them, I would love. There's a few artists I really like that I think would be a pleasure for me to work with. I did recently get to sing with Montel Jordan on his new record, and that was. I've always been a big fan of his, and so that was definitely a pretty cool thing for me to do. And that I would love that I actually got a chance to run into not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago, is a guy named Kevon Edmonds. He's Babyface's brother, and he's an amazing singer, and lives not too far from me, I found out, and so I think that'd be awesome if I could do some collaboration with him, because he's definitely one of my favorite singers.
When you do talk to Robin, I hope you guys decide to do like a Christian version of Lost Without You.
Hey, you know what? That actually could work. Lost Without You. I'll let him know.
I would love to hear that.
That'd be awesome.
So what do you hope to see in the future for Chris August? Hope possibly a revival of Chris Megert and The Love Jones?
Yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, with my new record, I put some R&B flavor in there for sure. I let the music play, Water into Wine, and I Believe, and Amen, and some of these songs are just that's more the old school, what I would call the old school Chris Megert and The Love Jones feel, and so I'm excited to kind of bring that back with this, and so I hope that my goal now is what I see is just continue to do that, and bring some soul to the CCM world, and just enjoy doing it. And I hope people can enjoy listening to it.
Where can your fans reach you?
Well, I'm on Twitter as Chris August, or Facebook as Chris August, of course, and I have a website, chrisaugustmusic.com. Any one of those places. I do all my Twitter and Facebook myself. People always ask me if that's actually me responding, and I'm like, well, yes, I don't have an assistant sitting there on my Twitter responding to everybody. That's actually me. So, yeah.
Well, some celebrities have people tweeting for them because they kind of get a little reckless.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you have to get back to touring and crooning people, because you have a crooner type voice, in my opinion. But anyway, again, thank you so much. And I appreciate you doing this interview. I really do.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on. That's awesome. I appreciate it.
So we have to connect again before the year is out.
That sounds good to me.
The downside of being up is my inside is empty of the one thing my heart truly needs. When I feel invincible, a million miles from miserable, it's always all about me. I don't know why I don't love you like I should, like you would, through bad and good. Oh, funny how we figure out where happiness is found. In the midst of this sadness, I'm closer to you now. That's the upside of down, the upside of down. It's all switched around. I lost and I found the upside of down. You are more in my less. You are strength in my weakness. I'll never go back again. And then your sunshine ends the rain, and I return to my old ways. Why am I a fair weather friend? I wanna be the one to love you like I should, like you would, through the bad and good. Oh, funny how we figure out where happiness is found. In the midst of this sadness, I'm closer to you now. That's the upside of tragedies, knowing you're holding my heart always, always. I may be down, but I'm finding there's joy in the pain, in the pain. Funny how we figure out where happiness is found.